This is TWiT.
So this week, the EU did push also their Digital Markets Act, the other shoe dropped. They are now probing, and it's never fun to be probed, Apple, Meta, and Alphabet, the first full investigations under the Digital Markets Act. Found guilty of noncompliance, companies could face fines as much as 10% of revenue, global revenue. That's billions of dollars. The commission said it was concerned that Apple and Alphabet had imposed restrictions and limitations that constrained developers' ability to promote other services. That's the App Store. You can't mention, for instance, if you're Amazon, that, oh, by the way, you could buy this book on the Amazon website, let alone on the app. It added it was looking at services including Google Shopping and Google Flights over whether Google was giving preference to its own companies in its search results. That's an old complaint, which I think is not, that's not the problem with Google, really. There's other problems with Google, but I don't think promoting Google Shopping, which, does it even exist anymore? The commission is looking at whether Apple was meeting its obligations to allow users to easily uninstall any software applications.
Yeah, they've gotten better with that. Those are the inbox apps.
Yeah, but most of those you can
do that too. Yeah, I think they're pretty good now. So I think the bigger thing is the store stuff.
I think it's the store, yeah. But they do mention Apple's restrictions on changing default settings, browsers, and search engines.
Yes.
Now Apple
because they stick till you till you reset the phone, you reboot the phone.
Right. Like, they allow you to do it, but only temporarily. Yeah.
And then for certain things, it won't. Like if you switch the keyboard on an iPhone, 90% of the time it works.
Right.
But then like on certain forms, it goes back to the Apple and they don't trust it. You know,
I gave up.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I gave up. I'm just using Apple's keyboard because it always works. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bug. Is that it? The commission opened proceedings against Meta over whether the group's new, this is something Meta introduced in the EU, pay or consent. So Meta said, okay, since you won't let us spy on our users, collect data for advertising, we'll offer an option. You could either consent to being, giving up information to advertisers, or pay us money for the subscription. But the EU said, we don't think that's exactly what we meant.
That's a weird complaint, that one. Just because, I mean, I understand where they're coming from. They're saying, a subscription fee. But this goes back to the origins of the internet, the problem where everybody decided to give everything away for free. And
it's not free. It's not free for these companies. It costs them a lot of money. And they knew that they were going to have to make money. They knew they were going to have to make money at some point, but they certainly conditioned us to expecting it to be for free.
Right. Yeah. This is a deep conversation for us right now, Leo, because as you know, in my place of business, there's a Facebook developer put out a situation maybe like mid-February that says on April 22nd, basically coming up, they're canceling all third-party API access to the ability to stream into groups. And of course, some moguls got a hold of it and freaked out because they do these massive like paid groups, right? So say you're in, Allyn's SSD lovers group and he does webinars and seminars in there. And, a lot of people make money through their products that they sell by running these seminars in their Facebook groups. Well, all of a sudden they're like, well, you're no longer going to be able to stream to your group with the third party tool. You can still do it if you know how to write RTMP, key and URL, which is super simple. But everyone's freaking out that Facebook is closing their business down. And it's like, but, to run video services is expensive. And in order to allow you to distribute your program through your Facebook group to 200,000 users, there's a heavy cost to it. Oh, no, it's free. No, it's not. Facebook's paying it right now. And the way they're covering that cost is stealing your data. But if they're going to be now told that they no longer can steal your data, especially since half of your users are in the EU, then this is why they're stopping it. And people can't understand that. So they immediately called us and they're blaming us. They're like, oh,
yeah, Ecamm had to put out a whole a blog post.
Like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have workarounds in the blog post. Katie put a blog post up explaining what it means and how you can get around it. I wasn't even aware.
But to Daniel's point, people don't understand that none of this is free. Even Gmail is not free. Those servers, if you ever had to buy your own server, you would know this. They don't come. That stuff is not cheap, right? Or the space. Ooh, look, I'm running out of 200 gigs. 200 gig drives aren't free.
Right. And, in Katie's blog post on Ecamm, she said, well, you can still use Discord or Zoom or the other places to do it. But how long are those going to be free?
Right. Eventually, if it's not costing you something, it's your info. And most people still can't grok that.
Yeah, I think people do want it for free. And they want privacy. It's kind of why, podcasts are also hit by this. And I would love to continue. We are free, ad-supported free, and I would think that's a great way to do it. It's democratic. Anybody can watch or listen that wants to. And all we do is, and we don't spy on people. We can't because it's an RSS feed. We don't know anything about you. And that's kind of a problem because companies like Spotify and others that get you to download their app to listen to the podcast do know everything about you. And so they offer to advertisers, they say to advertisers, you could buy a podcast and just hope that your ads are working, or you could buy it on Spotify and we'll tell you exactly what you're buying and whether it's working and whether they heard it and whether they bought and so forth. And it's very hard to compete. It's hurt us. It's hurt us badly. It's hurt most independent podcasts very badly. And it's making the idea of an RSS-based, the traditional podcast medium shaky, a lot shakier. Hey, thank you for watching this little snippet from our big show, the News Roundtable, This Week in Tech. I'm Leo Laporte. Each week we cover the week's tech news, in-depth analysis, but it's also fun and engaging. You'll find it at twit.tv along with all of our shows. And if you want more, just hit the subscribe button, and we'll be sure to bring you a lot more great content. Thanks for listening.